Have you ever noticed that the most unforgettable moments in life are not about grand gestures, flowers, expensive dinners, or rehearsed words? They are about presence, about how someone makes you feel truly seen. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If you want to be loved, love." But real love is not about performance. It's about perception. A woman's heart is not captured by shallow validation. What lingers is when you reflect her deeper essence back to her. It's not flattery, it's recognition. Epictetus taught, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. A man who listens with depth. Who notices the shift in her tone, the sadness behind her smile, gives a gift more powerful than any compliment, the gift of being seen." Think of it this way. Most people today skim the surface. They scroll, swipe, and move on. But when you say, "You see the world differently," and you mean it, you cut through the noise. You tell her she's not invisible. That recognition plants a quiet seed. It grows not because you chase her, but because you embody stillness. Seneca reminded us. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. The same is true in love. Many men imagine they must do more to win her over. But the truth is simpler. You don't earn her heart by adding noise. You earn it by noticing what others overlook. A real compliment doesn't come from the desire to impress. It comes from clarity, presence, and authenticity. When you see her not as a conquest, not as a performance, but as a human being with layers, you become unforgettable. Because in the end, presence is power. Awareness is attraction. And to truly see her is the beginning of everything. There is a rare kind of power that doesn't come from dominance or charm. It comes from presence, the kind that makes others feel comfortable simply by being around you. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. A man who has found that inner retreat carries it wherever he goes, and others feel it." When a woman says, "I feel safe with you," it is not about protection in the physical sense, but the way your calm allows her to exhale, to stop performing, to just be herself. Epictetus reminded us, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life, and freedom begins when she feels free from judgment in your presence." Most men chase attention with noise and drama, believing excitement creates desire. But the truth is simpler. Trust is the foundation. Seneca said, "He who is brave is free." A man steady in himself who does not need to prove, to impress, to dominate, creates a freedom that draws people in. Safety is never boring. It is magnetic. Think of the times you felt most at peace, sitting with a true friend, saying nothing but feeling accepted. That is the same peace you give when you no longer compete for approval. Your stillness becomes her safe place. Your silence speaks louder than forced words. In a world of constant distraction, that is unforgettable. You don't need to pretend or perform. You simply need to be grounded in who you are. Presence is enough. As the Stoics taught, the man who rules himself rules the room. And when your presence allows others to breathe, that is when true connection begins. Many men walk through life believing they are ordinary, just working, paying bills, and trying to get by. Yet sometimes, a woman looks at you and says, "You're more powerful than you realize." That is not flattery. It is recognition of the strength you've been ignoring. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." True power begins when you live with certainty, not hesitation. Women sense potential before you see it in yourself. They notice when your words lack conviction, or when you carry yourself half asleep. But they also notice when you begin to step into clarity, when you stop apologizing for who you are. Stop asking permission to exist. Epictetus taught, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Power is not dominance. It is alignment between your spirit, your words, and your actions. Think of a mountain. It doesn't shout for attention, yet its presence commands respect. In the same way, your quiet strength inspires more than loud performances ever could. Seneca said, "Throw me to the wolves, and I will return leading the pack." This is the spirit of the man who accepts struggle, stands firm, and grows stronger through it. So, when she says you are more powerful than you realize, Take it as a challenge, not a compliment. Stop shrinking to make others comfortable. Believe in the weight of your own presence. Because women may be drawn to potential, but they stay for presence. And the moment you choose to embrace that power, you stop living small and you become unforgettable. Silence makes most people uneasy. They rush to fill the space with words, jokes, or noise. But when a woman tells you, with you, even silence feels good, she is revealing something rare. You are a man whose presence itself brings peace. Marcus Aurelius said, "Nowhere you can go is more peaceful than your own soul." If you've built that calm within, it radiates outward, and others feel it. A man who fears silence is often a man who fears himself. He cannot sit still, cannot hold space without distraction. Epictetus reminded us, "No man is free who is not master of himself." When you can sit in quiet, steady and unshaken, you show mastery not over her, but over yourself. That kind of stillness creates intimacy without a word spoken. Picture this. You're driving at night. No talking, just soft music. She glances at you, sees you grounded, not restless, and she exhales deeper than she has all week. That is when she realizes you are different. Seneca wrote, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay. The same is true for silence. It reveals steadiness where others show fear. True connection is born in the spaces between words. If you can hold silence with strength, you create trust, safety, and a bond deeper than any clever line could achieve. In a world addicted to noise, you become the calm in her storm, the stillness she didn't know she needed. There is something magnetic about a man who doesn't try to be different. He simply is. He doesn't wear a mask, doesn't bend himself to win approval." Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." A man rooted in himself carries an energy that no crowd can manufacture. That authenticity is what stands out. Most men perform, adjust, or chase attention. But when you are anchored in your own values, you attract without effort. Epictetus taught, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. The man who no longer fears judgment, who doesn't play a role, becomes free, and in that freedom, others feel trust. Think of a person who enters a room quietly, yet commands attention. It isn't the clothes, the status, or the show. It's congruence when words, actions, and spirit align. Seneca said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." The authenticity you carry comes from the inner work, not performance. So when a woman says there's just something about you, she is sensing this alignment. You don't try to impress, you live your truth. In a world full of masks, the man who simply is becomes unforgettable. Your presence frees her from pretending, because your calm tells her she can simply be herself too. Most men are taught to hide their brilliance, told to be strong, not thoughtful, to fit in, not stand out. Yet the truth is this: your mind, when awakened, is your most powerful weapon. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When your thoughts are alive, creative, and deep, people feel it without you having to say much. A woman may say, "You'd be dangerous if you realized how beautiful your mind is." She is pointing to the spark you carry but often ignore. Epictetus taught, only the educated are free. A sharp, curious mind doesn't just impress, it liberates, and it inspires others to see differently. It's not about showing off knowledge, but about perspective, vision, and clarity. Think of the quiet man in the room who doesn't rush to speak, yet when he does, his words carry weight. That is not accident, it is discipline. Seneca said, "It is the power of the mind to be unconquerable. A man who owns his thoughts cannot be controlled by the noise of the world." So stop shrinking your intelligence to make others comfortable. When you embrace your mind fully, you become magnetic, not only in love, but in leadership, business, and legacy. A mind alive is a force, and when you recognize its beauty, you stop being average. You become unforgettable. When a woman says, "You remind me of someone I haven't met yet," she is not speaking of the past. She is sensing potential, a vision of what you represent. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Look well into yourself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if you will always look. A man who lives with purpose awakens a feeling of inevitability, as if he was always meant to cross her path. This isn't about acting mysterious. It's about living with intention, carrying yourself like a man on a journey. Epictetus taught, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. When your life is guided by inner clarity rather than the need for attention, you naturally radiate intrigue. She feels it, even if she can't name it. Think of men who stand apart, not by noise, but by depth. They don't overshare, they don't beg to be understood. Their silence and focus speak louder than explanations. Seneca reminded us, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. A man who refuses to waste his time on the trivial becomes unforgettable. Hai embodies the story she has been waiting to meet. So when she looks at you with fascination, sensing something she can't explain, remember, it is not an accident. That gravity is built every day through your choices, your discipline, your stillness. Be the man who doesn't blend in, but stands firm in his path. That is the presence she will never forget. There is a presence in the way a man walks when he knows his life has meaning. A woman may say, "You walk like you own a story no one else has read." That is not arrogance. It is quiet certainty. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself." When your steps flow from inner conviction, people feel it without you speaking a word. Most walk through life reacting, waiting for the world to define them. But a Stoic man moves differently. Epictetus taught, no great thing is created suddenly. Every stride you take is shaped by discipline, by lessons carried from hardship, by peace earned through struggle. Your posture is not performance, it is alignment with your values. Think of a man entering a room without announcement, yet the energy shifts. That is not charisma, it is depth. Seneca said, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. The man who owns his story, who accepts both wounds and victories, carries a confidence that cannot be faked. So when she sees you move with poise, when she senses mystery in your silence, understand this. Your presence is your story. Walk as if every step matters because it does. And in a world of restless noise, the man who moves with purpose becomes unforgettable. True power is not found in loud words or endless talk, it lives in your voice, even in silence. When a woman says, "Your voice makes me feel something," even when you say nothing, she is pointing to your presence. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When your mind is steady, your words and your silence both carry weight. Most men believe attraction is about what they say. But it is not volume that matters, it is resonance. Epictetus taught, first learn the meaning of what you say, and then speak. A voice that comes from conviction and calm creates trust without trying. When you slow down, when you let your words breathe, your presence speaks louder than noise. Think of the rare man who enters a room, speaks only a few words, and everyone leans in. That is not accident, it is alignment between thought and spirit. Seneca said, speech is the index of the mind. A steady voice reflects a steady soul. A steady soul creates safety and attraction at once. So speak less, but mean more. Let silence work in your favor. Your calm, grounded voice tells her, you are not here to chase approval, you are here because you belong. That is the kind of presence no one forgets. What truly captivates a woman is not charm, clever lines, or flashy moves. It is presence, authenticity, and a man who lives his truth. Marcus Aurelius said, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one. Attraction begins when you stop pretending and start becoming. The Stoics taught that silence, clarity, and alignment are stronger than performance. Epictetus reminded us, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. A man who speaks less but with weight, who walks into a room not to be chosen but to choose, becomes undeniable. Think of how people remember you, not the exact words, but how you made them feel. Seneca wrote, life is long if you know how to use it. A man who uses his time to grow To discipline himself, to walk with purpose, he leaves an impression deeper than any temporary charm. So this is your challenge. Stop seeking approval. Stop shrinking to fit the world's image. Become the man whose presence speaks louder than words. As Marcus Aurelius taught, the obstacle itself becomes the way. Step into it. Walk with presence, speak with clarity, and let your life, not your performance, be the reason you are unforgettable.